Hey guys, good morning. So I gave some thought to things that I did yesterday and things that I didn't do. I recognized where I came up short and I wanted to kind of revisit that. One of the things that I'm used to doing is delivering in two different modalities or methods. One where I'm doing things live, which is what I'm most comfortable with, and another where I've done things very rehearsed. I had chosen the second modality for your delivery because I wanted to be more precise and more perfect, as if it was being recorded. I record a lot of classes for Cisco U, whereas that wasn't the right strategy. I should not have been reliant on notes. I should have just been more in the present and gone with it live, so to speak, especially when I recognized the shift. In the delivery need. That being said, that was an error on my fault. And I kind of wanted to just go back through the presentation in, 12, 15 minutes, something like that, and do it more live, more authentic to me. It's not going to be as precise. It's certainly not rehearsed to the degree I'd like, but instead of trying to follow a written script using all the proper vernacular, I'm just going to go roll with it. So hopefully you'll watch along. Another thing that I noticed was I never set the stage for what this delivery was supposed to be. I had assumed that, speaking with Chris, that was a known quantity, that everybody would be familiar with this particular technical interview when I went through with Rama and Jeffrey. But let me start over at that point. So good morning, everybody. My name is Brad. I'm a solutions engineer at Cisco, and we're here to take a look at John Staff's WAN modernization efforts. Now, I had met with your architect, Jeffrey, and we discover a number of different pain points. And today, what we're trying to do is go back over what we've discovered, disclose what we need, demonstrate a gap analysis between the two, and then propose a solution for how we're going to resolve your business needs. Again, my name is Brad. I'm a solutions engineer, and my role is to marry business needs and technical solutions to provide the outcome that is going to be beneficial for your organization. So let's go ahead and start. Okay. In working with Jeffrey, we were able to find four main pain points that your organization is currently experiencing. First and foremost, you're running out of bandwidth. You have historically thrown more bandwidth at the issue, and that had really just historically been a band-aid, because one of the big shifts that's occurred is you have shifted your traffic patterns from your branch offices to data center to from your branch offices to cloud. Right? This is, after all, one of the big efforts of your organization. Because of your physical transport, because of the way your technology is currently aligned, your data is going in the wrong direction. That's where a lot of these perceived latencies and non-responsiveness is coming from. So your transport capacity is nearing limits. Historically, you've just added more bandwidth, added more bandwidth, added more bandwidth to mask this issue, which is it's going in the wrong direction. And it's starting to really add up at this point. And we don't want to go through another round of bandwidth expansion, because we can resolve your issues more cleanly using the existing facilities and technologies that you have, just upgrading the approach to mirror or match how you're trying to use the technology. We'll get into that more depth. So because of your particular path selection, your users are experiencing delays and latencies, and well, they're generating complaints, plain and simple. And those complaints basically register as loss of productivity. If they're frustrated enough to call someone or open a ticket, they're not happy with what they have to do work-wise. So inconsistent performance across locations. Again, this kind of comes back to the way your technology was originally deployed versus how you're currently using it. The orchestration layer, how IT is currently managing your infrastructure, needs some updating. Historically, as a general rule, we used to log in box by box by box and configure things one at a time. That approach has shifted to a more programmatic approach. So part of this overall effort is to upgrade not only your technical solution, but to facilitate your end users' needs, but it's also to upgrade your IT administrative's capabilities to look into your organization, to understand how traffic is currently being delivered, and if there are any pain points, how they can more proactively respond to those pain points instead of reactively wait for complaints. So again, right now, your current infrastructure, the way things are built, operationally complex. You don't have a clean set of tools to administrate it as, let's call it a fabric. Right now, it's box by box, piece by piece. And we want a more holistic approach towards providing a control and autonomy. Final point, you've got 20 different locations, 2 different data centers. You've got a tremendous investment in Cisco technology, but we have identified a couple of components which are nearing their end of life. It has come up for a refresh cycle. So what I'm proposing is we take these 3 main pressure points plus this small infrastructure refresh and use this as an opportunity to close the gap between where you are right now and where we can get you with some modernization. Now, the vast majority of this effort is actually a software upgrade, is actually taking the majority of your infrastructure and doing some code upgrades, teaching your engineers a new tool to administrate instead of box by box, more as a fabric. And then, yes, there will be a few hardware components in some of your older offices that will need to be upgraded, but that's the small piece. Now, what I've said to this point is how your organization was built differs from how your organization is currently using technology. Right now, a lot of your workloads are headed out towards the cloud, whereas the infrastructure as you have built it was built for your branch offices to connect back to HQ, back to the data centers. That is the disconnect. That is right now your traffic's going 1,800 miles in that direction to turn around and go 1,800 miles in that direction, instead of a more direct path across the internet at large. Furthermore, your IT staff has limited visibility into the workloads. Right now, your organization is manually configuring box by box. It's slow, it's arcane. It also opens the opportunity for misconfigurations, things where, well, you don't have a consistency in your configurations. You don't have consistency in your security profile concerns. Again, finally, you've gotten used to throwing more bandwidth at the solution. Oh, you can't really see my finger, but I'm making the money sign, which is really a Band-Aid. Because again, you're going in the wrong direction to go in the wrong direction. So let's throw more bandwidth at it. Let's fly on a faster plane through 2 hops instead of going more direct. So that's kind of the gap analysis of where I see your infrastructure right now and where I know we can take you. We can take you to faster user experience. I know we can take you to a point where your IT team has end-to-end visibility across your entire infrastructure, that they can immediately recognize where pain points might reside. I know I can take you to an ability to orchestrate your configurations in a centralized, well, the word to use would be automated fashion, where we can log in, make our changes, and apply those changes organization-wide, fabric-wide, if you want to call it that. And this will result in lower operational expenditures. This will satisfy one of your primary motivators is we need to bring costs in line. So again, this modernization will provide you predictable application performance. Your end users will be happy. It's going to reduce your overall costs of your ongoing costs, your monthly CapEx. There will be a small OpEx investment in order to bring some of the legacy hardware up to speed, as well as go through this software upgrade. Of course, we can come and facilitate this. We can bring in a VAR. We can train your internal staff to handle it themselves, everything in between them. This is going to bring about operational simplicity from your IT administrative role. Namely, we're going to be facilitating a command console. that your IT staff will be able to log into and see the end-to-end topology, where all your sites are, where all of the equipment is in these locations, and what the connectivity is between these remote offices and HQ and out to the internet, etc. This, in your mind's eye, if you will, think about a map of the United States where all of your sites are located. And all of this is color coded where you understand where performance is in line, where performance is getting shaky, where things are experiencing issues right now. So your IT staff can make take immediate steps to resolve, to more proactively resolve, instead of waiting for someone to start complaining and then figure out, oh, there is something down. They have immediate visibility into the current live state of your entire infrastructure. Furthermore, with this centralized management engine, we are going to have the ability to provide your team the ability to make their configurations and apply these configurations fabric-wide. All devices, you are now running under this new security paradigm. We've locked the back door, so to speak, at every site all at once. This is a tremendous shift in the way things had been being done to where we can bring you. Part of this is going to improve your business agility. I was speaking with Jeffrey. He spoke about how much growth you're currently going through and how you're bringing on new sites. And right now, your infrastructure is such where you don't have a tremendous ability to pivot. We want to bring on a new location. It takes you weeks right now in order to provision MPLS connectivity. And then it takes you more time to architect this connection back into your infrastructure. Whereas with this modernization effort, what we're proposing is using more ubiquitous connectivity. Think Comcast, but multiple different service providers for resiliency, but at a much reduced rate. Instead of spending thousands, we're talking hundreds per site. And you'll have multiple pathways out, and these paths can be brought up very quickly. And then this orchestration engine that I'm talking about will go through the configuration, the security, and the connectivity between the different locations. I don't want to say in a hands-off automated solution because your IT team still needs to set things up, but in a much more consistently controlled and a visual approach. So this will bring about more business agility, giving you the ability to bring locations online more readily, as well as deal with issues as they crop up, as well as expand capacity as is necessary, more flexibly and easily. All right. So this is what I've been promising. This is what is going to get us there. The Cisco SD-WAN. I've already spoken to centralized control through a command console, single pane of glass to orchestrate the entire organization. I've already spoken to end-to-end visibility. I've already touched upon how this is going to provide additional security capabilities that you haven't realized yet. But to add on to this tool integrates deeply with a larger Cisco portfolio to give you additional mechanisms in order to, for instance, work with your firewalls. In some cases, to replace that functionality outright. In some cases, to augment that functionality. So that's something we can delve into in more technical conversations in more depth. But I do want to point that out, that this is not just a piece of the puzzle that fixes this one issue you're experiencing, but this is a larger ecosystem opportunity. I do want to talk about application-aware performance because this is one of the real big feathers in the hat. This is a big tool of, what's the word I'm looking for? A big proponent of one of the reasons why we want to use this tool. Application-aware performance. We've spoken about how your remote offices are going to be shifting away from expensive, costly, dedicated direct connections back to a data center into a more ubiquitously available service provider connectivity to the more public internet. One of the things this engine, this SD-WAN engine, will do for us is understand the different traffic types that our end users are generating. Oh, this is voice, this is video, this is file transfer, this is email, whatever it may be. And this engine has the ability to recognize these different traffic types as well as understand based off live measurements, live metrics of the paths I have available. What are their current capabilities? Which of these paths will I pin the various traffic to in order to satisfy my requirements, my application requirements? If one of these service providers or sites or equipment or whatever it may be has issue, well, then this engine will redirect that traffic around that failing to a surviving path. So again, we are going to always utilize the best available path, and if one of these paths were to falter, we will recover around that failing through by redirecting traffic through a surviving path, through an alternate path. Really, really neat stuff. But again, that's more technically minded, but we can get into that in any amount of depth that you'd like. Finally, this solution does not require a rip and replace, where we're not just forklift upgrade, remove all the old stuff, bring in a whole bunch of new stuff. I did point out that we're going to use the vast majority of your existing partnership with Cisco. You invested in the Cisco portfolio. That portfolio will still perform for you today. Again, there are certain components that already have 200,000 miles and it's time to buy a new truck, so to speak. So we're going to reuse the vast majority of your existing infrastructure where appropriate. We will perform a controlled pilot where we'll bring certain sites online. We'll start taking advantage of this new tool, this new orchestration engine, using your existing hardware, utilizing your existing connectivity, utilizing your existing infrastructure. Once we validate that this many users are able to be satisfied with these particular configurations, with these style of connections, again, this is using your existing infrastructure, we will then obviously expand that pilot out to include all of your sites. This will be done while maintaining business continuity. This is not going to require everything to be turned off 3 days later. We can turn it back on again. No, we can do this without disruption. Once we have this system in place, once we have this engine controlling and directing and orchestrating your fabric, your infrastructure, then comes the cost savings. Then we can truly understand exactly which one of these circuits are most appropriate to keep, which one of the circuits are most appropriate to expand, and which ones are appropriate to discontinue its use. Right now, a huge part of your ongoing monthly expenditure is maintaining an MPLS environment. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying we need to get rid of it, but I am saying you threw a lot of bandwidth that costs a lot of money every month at that solution, which is going 1,800 miles in that direction to then go 1,800 miles in the other direction, where we can shift to a more open model where we can bring online ubiquitous connectivity and use these resilient paths, these multiple resilient paths, in lieu of very costly approaches. Now, that is the technology that I'm presenting as will solve your issues, your business issues as they were brought to me, which was user experience, which was out of bandwidth, spending way too much money, some antiquated infrastructure, and a modernization effort. Cisco's SD-WAN will satisfy those needs. Now, from your perspective, I want to talk about what the most important factor in evaluating this product further is. All right. So that was a little bit different of a spin. Instead of trying to be more rigorous and perfect as I would if I was recording a video, which is kind of what I felt I needed to have for that level of engagement. I really wanted to elevate my language, my cadence, my speech. That's why I spent so much time in building a script, which would have, I think, worked had I had a printout of the script and didn't have to read quite the same way I did in our engagement. Had I taken the other approach of, well, that's not going to work so good, let me just do it live based off of my own capacities, this is more in tune. So it's 8:30 in the morning. I thought about this last night, drank a cup of coffee, and pressed record. Hopefully, this is a better assessment of my capability to think on the fly. Thank you for your time. Talk to you soon.